Morning, everybody. I hope you're all well and in good spirits. I got a boring public service announcement today. It said that youth is wasted on the young and wisdom is wasted on the old. And I believe that because now that I have this wisdom I didn't have in my youth, I realized I would have did things a lot differently when I was young. I would have took advantage of my youth so that my golden age, my golden years when I'm wise would be just lovely. And I'm not sure that's going to be the case. See, when I was young, I grew up in a culture that celebrated self-abuse. I remember homies drinking till they're throwing up and pretty much on the verge of alcohol poisoning. And then they'd say, give me another one. And everybody would cheer for them. Other homies would say, I do drugs. Drugs don't do me. And then proceed to wrap a rock and zigzag and eat it. And so there was this celebration of self-abuse as a measure of toughness. And I see how that's playing out today. Recently, I went to a social justice meeting at a church. And I pulled up in the front. The meeting was in the back. And when I get out the car, I see two vatos in front of the church. And I'm like, hey, are you so-and-so? And right away, they recognized me. He gave me a hug. Told me that his dear loved one had passed away. And I knew him. You know, he was in his 40s. And he passed away from health complications. Separately, I've had another friend who... we used to drink in high school. We used to drink 40s. And that was part of the identity. That's always got a 40 in his hand. He's cool because he's always drinking a 40. And we would drink so much that we would peel the labels off and then just start putting them up on walls, like in the school, whatever, until eventually the whole wall was covered in 40 labels from Old English. And he passed away in his 40s from... pancreatic cancer. I always wondered if the beers had something to do with that. A couple years later, his little brother passed away from health complications. And so I've heard of a lot of people, raza, I'll keep it specific to them because that's where my experience is at with this, that are dying in their 40s and 50s from, health-related issues. I don't know if they're related to how they wasted their youth, but I think there probably is a correlation there. And separately, I know a lot of people who are younger than me that have kidney problems, liver problems. They got caught up in the whole, pill thing when it was out. They were like, oh, you got to take the Opanas. You got to take these ones. You got to do that one. I never took them. But they knew all the names, how to do them differently, how to get around like coatings that came out so you couldn't do them a certain way. And they have health complications. I don't expect they'll make it to 60. And that's sad because the average lifespan, as I remember it, was 77 for men and 80 for women. And there was a certain expectation that when you would at least have a fairly good quality of life all the way to the end. And if they do make it to 60 and 70, it's now a quality of life with dialysis, with illness, with a lot of suffering. And if you obtain wisdom in your old age, you might not be able to do the things that wisdom would allow you to do because health issues hold you back. And it's I think it's a tragedy for us, so if you have a friend who says, I just want to have two, don't push them to have 3 or 4, because it might not be the same as like pulling something out and killing them, but you could be killing them softly. And if you really care about them, don't push them to excess, because ultimately that's not wise on their part to not listen to their bodies. And If they don't feel it now, like many people didn't feel it in their youth, they might feel it later. And, you should want your friends to have a good quality of life in future years and not just think about the moment. So I really hope that people hear this message. It is coming from a place of love for everyone. Not wanting people to live a sickly life because they were wasting their youth in a way. So when I see folks that that didn't live like a lot of us did, I see them looking beautiful still at 60, 70. They're out jogging. They're with their dogs. They're having the best life. They're still youthful and healthy, but now they're retired. They're in a position to help their kids. They're in a position to help their grandkids, to appreciate and benefit the community, and leave a legacy. And when you die young, you're kind of robbed of that opportunity. And the people who come behind you might not see an example that they can follow. And, even Tupac said in one of his songs, we got to change the way we eat. We got to change the way we live. And he was, I think, pushing the same message. So, make a homie, don't break a homie. Don't push them to excess if they feel that they're good already. I guess that's it. I don't want to ramble on too much, but I did want to, highlight that we often hear like violence and what have you taking the lives of youth. But I'm guessing there's probably a lot more raza dying from health complications 30, 40 years before the expected lifespan that they could have had. And, we do got to change that, because if a lot of those folks were able to be older and healthier, they could do a lot for the community. That's probably where, a lot of the wisdom is at, and we're losing that wisdom because the way people live in their youth. And again, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I think I wasted most of my youth. And I think I'm paying for some of it now. So anyways, I hope you guys have a day that you're grateful for. Have a good one.